Hi, it's Chef Robin. I want to do another recipe with you. So tonight I want to do a red wine and stout braised Wagyu beef short ribs. The Wagyu beef short ribs are from Plum Creek Wagyu, and actually the stout beer that we're going to use tonight is from Zipline Brewery, a local brewery here in town. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to rub a little olive oil on these beautiful pieces of Wagyu beef short ribs. The marbling is absolutely beautiful. Probably the prettiest ribs I've ever seen, honestly. So we are going to drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm going to just brush that a little bit just to spread it on. And then we are going to add some salt and pepper. Probably about a half a tablespoon of salt, about 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. So holding up high, going over. And I'll turn them over. A little bit of pepper, doing the same way. Turn them over so they're nice and beautiful on both sides. All right, so we have our beautiful Wagyu beef short ribs, nice and seasoned. Next thing we're gonna do, put them in an oven, 425, for about 20 minutes so they get nice and caramelized, and then we're gonna turn that heat down to finish it up. We're gonna put them in. So while we've got our short ribs in the oven, we're gonna go ahead and get our mirepoix ready for our cast iron pot. So we've got our carrot, celery, and onion here. And I've chopped some. You want about 1.5 cups of carrots and celery. Holding your knife, gripping 3 fingers, pinching, and rolling right through. And it goes. Doing the same thing with the carrot. Now we're gonna chop our onion. Remember, we leave that root intact. We're gonna go and score through, but not all the way to the root. We want about a cup of an onion. You can do it just like this. I always like to go one sideways, then down we go to get our nice diced onion. And that root just keeps it together for you. The next thing we're gonna do is get our vegetables nice and tender. So you wanna have a nice large pot. Drizzle with a little bit of olive oil, maybe about 1/4 of a cup, whatever it takes to kind of coat the bottom of your pot. And then we're gonna add those vegetables that we chopped. So our celery, onion, and carrots. It's gonna take about 15 minutes for those to become nice and tender. In the last minute, we'll add that garlic, but we wanna wait till the end so that that garlic doesn't burn. Our vegetables are looking nice and tender, so this is the time that we wanna add in that garlic. About 3 cloves of garlic. Remember, each clove of garlic is about a teaspoon, so we want a tablespoon of garlic. So I'm gonna peel my garlic with my garlic peeler, pop it out. There we go, and then press it. You wanna wait till the very end to do this because garlic burns really fast, so we don't wanna put that in any sooner than we have to. So when you've got just about a minute left, that's when that goes in. And then you'll smell within 30 seconds to a minute, that oils and that flavor of that garlic will pull through. Next thing we wanna do, red wine. So when I write a recipe, I always make sure I have some extra red wine left. So I'm gonna use about 12 ounces or half a bottle of red wine, whatever you like to drink. So you're not getting cooking wine, you're getting wine that you actually wanna drink. So 12 ounces in, bringing that to a boil. It's gonna happen really fast. The alcohol cooks off in about 30 seconds. Next thing up, we're gonna put about 2 cups of beef broth in. And we're gonna put about half a bottle or 6 ounces. We're gonna use our Zipline Stout beer here. Of a stout beer. So it's always nice to use a local beer. And this looks absolutely amazing, actually. So excited I have a half a bottle left. There we go. And it goes. We're also going to put about a half a cup of crushed tomatoes and about 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper and about a half a tablespoon of salt. And then I like to tie my thyme so it can kind of hang out in there and infuse that flavor in. So we're gonna bring that to a boil, and once our ribs come out, we're gonna add our ribs in. So right now we're just gonna let that kind of boil for a second. It's been about 20 minutes in at 425. You can see that we're getting a beautiful crust on top of our Wagyu beef short ribs. So it's time to add them into our sauce that we have. So I'm gonna add them into our pot. And we're gonna bring that up to a boil before we add it into the oven, and we reduce that temperature down to 325 degrees. So we're gonna set those in. Now that we've got it up to a boil, I'm gonna put the lid on. We're gonna put it in the oven. For other beef short ribs, it probably would take 1.5 to 2 hours. These are so nice and tender, it might take less time. So I'm actually gonna start checking it at about an hour to see how we're doing, and then we'll go from there. So the Wagyu beef ribs have been cooking for about an hour, covered in our oven at 325, and you can see that they're actually pulling away from the bone. That's what we wanna see. So at this point, we're gonna take our lid off and we're gonna put it back in the oven for another hour, just till it becomes absolutely tender and just actually falls off the bone. So next thing, in the oven, still at 325, 1 more hour. While we're waiting for our beef ribs to finish cooking, I'm gonna show you a little garnish. I have a lot of people asking about how to garnish their dinner. So I have the green parts of a green onion here, and what we're gonna do is try to cut this really nice and thin. So if you're doing a dish and you're not using the green parts, maybe save it aside, because this actually, if you do this garnish, it'll save in the refrigerator for quite some time. So you can see I have all these nice strands of the green parts of the green onion, and I'm gonna give it an ice bath. It's gonna lay in there. Just let it set in there while you're cooking whatever you're doing, whether it's an Asian dish or the dish we're doing today. When you pull it out, it will curl like this. I actually did a little carrot too, just for a little extra color. So it's really beautiful. And if you don't use it all, you can just put it in a baggie, keep it in your refrigerator until you're ready to garnish with it. There you go. So now it's been over an hour with the lid off, after we've had the lid on for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And you can tell that it is just coming off the bone. So at this point, we're gonna take the bones out. We're gonna lay our Wagyu beef ribs on a plate. We're gonna cook that sauce just a little bit and kind of skim off any fat that we have, and then we'll add those ribs back in. So we've skimmed up all the fat, so we've just got this beautiful sauce hanging out. We're just gonna put our ribs back in just to warm them up. So we're gonna set them back in the pot just for 5 minutes or so, just so they get nice and warm back up, and then we're gonna plate. So it's done. We have it plated with some garlic mashed potatoes, whatever you got, and we did that nice garnish that I told you about. This is amazing. Definitely hope that you'll try out this Plum Creek Wagyu beef short ribs. If you decide to do that, I know if you put Chef Robin as a code, you'll get a little discount. My pairings for tonight, luckily I have a half a bottle of wine, so a nice red wine, or definitely the Zipline Stout that we cooked with tonight would be my 2 top pairings for this evening's dinner. Hope you guys do it. Hope you'll make it. If you do, take a picture and let me see what you've done. Cheers. Love you guys.